tabii bizim için çok önemli bir destekçimiz var. İsveç Başkonsolosluğu'nun bizim için çok kıymetli destekleri gerçekleşti. Kendilerine yürekten teşekkür ediyoruz ve bundan sonraki süreçte de yanımızda destekçimiz olacaklarının sözünü de kendilerinden almanın mutluluğunu yaşıyoruz. Evet, öyleyse İsveç Konsolosluğu'na teşekkür ettikten sonra hemen çok değerli bir ismi davet edeceğiz. Bu akşamın açılışı, Pazarlama Türkiye Zirvesi'nin açılışını bizlerle birlikte yapılacak konuşmasıyla birlikte değerli Başkonsolos, İstanbul Başkonsolosu, değerli Peter Ericson bizlerle birlikte olacak. Ben hemen kendisini davet etmek istiyorum. May I invite? We are very glad to see you. We want to listen to you. Mr. Ericson?
Thank you, Savage, and thank you all for joining. I'm Peter Ericson, the Consul General of Sweden in Istanbul. I would like to introduce you to Sweden, a country with a population of some 10 million people. That's little more than half of the city where we live, Istanbul, and how this country has become a global leader in innovations. As we all know, the global COVID-19 pandemic has presented us extraordinary challenges, all of us. People, societies, industries, and economies are all affected one way or another. But as we also know, a crisis can bring about opportunities for new scientific discoveries and innovative solutions. New knowledge about how to handle the pandemic is essential, and hence research and innovation initiatives, both short-term and long-term, are crucial in tackling this global pandemic. Numerous research and innovation initiatives have been made in Sweden to address the challenges that have been posed by the virus in 2020. Sweden ranks well in most international comparisons of countries' innovation capacities and competitiveness. In a world with major challenges, Sweden's free and open society has long functioned as a hub for innovation and co-creation. Today, Sweden, as you can see here, ranks as one of the most innovative countries in the world. And did you know that one of the leaders in COVID vaccine development is part Swedish? That's AstraZeneca, which is a company that resulted from a merger of Swedish Astra with the British pharmaceutical company. So one of the starting points for this innovation drive is Sweden's open society with a high degree of individual freedom that creates a good foundation for new thinking. And this well-known image of Sweden as a creative and innovative country also strengthens the competitiveness of Swedish business and our country's ability to attract investments, talent, and cooperation projects and co-financing. Everyday global competition is increasing. The ongoing changes in Swedish society require continued investments in research and innovation in order to contribute to Swedish competitiveness in the medium and long term. As the pandemic struck, research and innovation became even more crucial to rebooting the economy in Sweden. And therefore, the Swedish government has increased funding for research and innovation-related associations like RISE and organizations such as Business Sweden. RISE is a state-owned research institute collaborating with academia, industry, and society. It plays a central part in the Swedish innovation system. In Sweden, industrial research institutes conduct needs-driven research and development in global collaboration with universities, the business sector, and the public sector. And we could also add civil society here, as you see in this picture. These institutes play an important role in the utilization and commercialization of research and innovation. Their focus is directed towards developing sustainable solutions, which are the pillars of the business community's climate transition, competitiveness, and growth. Sweden is a small, export-dependent country where many jobs are located within the exporting sector. And given this, foreign investments play an important role in the economic recovery. In order to strengthen investment promotion initiatives, the Swedish government has increased funds of Business Sweden, an organization that is jointly owned by the Swedish government and the business sector, and a mission to help international companies gain access to the Swedish market and to help Swedish companies utilize it as a platform for expansion abroad. When we look at the economic measures triggered by the coronavirus pandemic, there are factors indicating that the Swedish economy might be less negatively affected in the short term than other countries. For instance, our economy has not been locked down to the same extent as some other countries have been. And in addition, the sectors that have been hardest hit by social distancing comprise a relatively small percentage of GDP in Sweden. Also, the low national debt in Sweden provided relatively good opportunities to use fiscal policy stimulus to support companies and households that have been hit hard. However, we are still at an early stage of the economic crisis, and much is still unclear regarding the continued spread of the virus and the economic impact. Right now, just like here in Turkey, the number of cases is increasing rapidly and stricter measures are being taken. So it's therefore very difficult to know what the conditions will be for developments in the coming years. I think, though, that one safe bet is accelerated digitalization. The COVID-19 crisis has led to several changes in consumer and in the marketplace, partly driven by the disease itself and partly by the ensuing economic changes as a result of the pandemic. In many ways, the COVID-19 crisis has pushed forward developments that were essentially inevitable to happen in a few years. Maybe most importantly, the drive towards digitalization. Across the globe, we're currently experiencing major disruptions to our daily lives due to the pandemic. And as countries close borders and school children, students, and employees are urged to stay at home, networks that allow us to access information, goods, and services, and to communicate remotely are more important than ever. These changes require practically every company to adapt in some way. Some of the changes are more transient than others, in that they occur as a result of quick adaptations needed to be made immediately, whereas others are more persistent mid-term and some will remain long-term. For many years already, companies adapted to a digital world by adding that option as a complement to physical interaction with customers. As online activities increased, companies have, with various speed, commitment, and success, spent the last few years optimizing their online presence and sales channels. But today, all companies, business to consumer as well as business to business, need to be prepared for a fully digital ecosystem for sales and branding communication. And being able to build and maintain a continuous relationship with the customer by using digital means has become more important than ever and will remain an important ability after the crisis has passed. And maybe you heard the news yesterday that this year's edition of the IKEA catalog, which used to arrive with a thud in Swedish mailboxes and in many other countries in the world each fall, this year's edition will be the final one. From now on, IKEA will go all digital in their market communications. Sweden has one of the most advanced digital economies in the EU and a strong history of innovation. More than 2/3 of Swedes already work online from home, at least some of the time, with around 1/3 doing this on a daily or weekly basis, according to the Swedish Internet Foundation. And this was already before COVID. Fast and widespread broadband works in tandem with the social and company policies which champion flexible and remote working as part of a more balanced and gender equal lifestyle. At the same time, global warming continues regardless of the COVID-19 pandemic. Without a doubt, the ongoing change will remain the defining issue of our generation. It's crucial that a green transition forms the basis of the recovery after the crisis, and that we will build back both better and stronger. The rising pressure on the Earth's resources requires new solutions that combine ecological, social, and economic sustainability. Sweden has a long history of international commitment to pursuing cooperation on sustainable development and is at the forefront of developments in new environmental technologies and sustainable system solutions. Swedish sustainability thinking informs both private consumers' attitudes, and Swedish business has embraced new climate-smart technologies as an important competitive advantage for Swedish companies with global operations. Investments in industry's climate transition, sustainable transport, and biodiversity will help us emerge stronger from the crisis. And by the way, the dress in this picture is made of wood-based materials. Investments in climate neutral and non-toxic circular solutions throughout Sweden will also help reducing carbon dioxide emissions, lay the foundation for new jobs, and strengthen our global competitiveness. Swedish companies have developed a carbon-free steel production process. And when it is fully introduced in just a couple of years, more than 10% of Sweden's greenhouse gas emissions will disappear. So in conclusion, in 2020, the COVID-19 pandemic unexpectedly struck us with great speed and force. What happens next will, of course, depend on how much the virus will continue to spread. But against this backdrop, Sweden's trust, technology, innovation culture, and collaboration spirit between public sector, private sector, and academia will continue to be highly valuable assets for the country in 2021. These values have likely never been as important as they are today when we move into the future. Thank you for listening. Bye-bye.